Move Studios for our strength and stretch sessions. So today our focus is going to be on our hips. So we are going to basically start lying down on the floor. Sorry, as I'm just letting some more people in. We're going to start lying down on our mats. And we're going to have our hands by our sides and our knees bent. So if you want to get yourself ready in position. Oh, I thought I'd muted everyone. Oh. Perfect. Okay, so we're going to start on the mat. So just have a moment, just as you're lying there, I want us just to kind of identify where the hip joints are in the body. So this has been my kind of focus for the week, is to just really get us to notice the actual joint within the pelvis. So if you're lying down on your mats, I want you to place your hands. There's different landmarks in the body that I want you to identify today so that you can kind of more easily organize your bodies, whether you're lying down, whether you're standing, whether you're sitting. Those landmarks in your body are really, these landmarks are going to be useful ways of you identifying the position of your pelvis. And the position of the pelvis is really important when we're trying to establish pelvic stability, but also create good mobility. So that comes where we're looking at our control and our proprioception. So if you take both one hand and at the front of your pelvis, you should find two bony parts. This is the very front of your pelvis. Yeah, bones here. So we're going to call those your hip bones. And then between the legs, lower down, you'll find another bony area. This is your pubic bone. Now your hip joint is below your hip bone. And as you come down towards your pubic bone, where your crease is, that's where your hip joint is. So this is where the actual joint is, where the ball and socket joint is there. So this is where the movement happens. So very, very often, when people are asked where their hips are, we point here or here. Actually, the hip joints are in here. So if you're lying down, you can find those quite easily. So that's just a sort of orientation yourself to your own body. And then we're just going to try in today's session is to create movement within that joint. So I want you to kind of be more focused on that area, as well as creating strength in the muscles that allow us to move that joint and allow that pelvis to be stable on that joint. So, laying down, we notice the base of the spine, sacrum, we notice our brow line, we notice the base of the skull. And as we're sitting there, we feel the knees going up to the ceiling. Now, how close are your thighs to you? I would recommend they're not too close, because this gives us a really deep kind of angle into that hip joint. So we just take the feet away so that you've got a nice soft angle coming into that hip joint. So that again, we're not causing compression, and it just allows us to possibly move more easily in that joint. Feel the ground under your feet, knees to the ceiling. And to start with, we're just going to do some pelvic tilts. So if your joint is here, we're going to roll the pelvis back, and then we roll the pelvis forward, so we become more of an arch back. So the curve in the lower back increases. Then we roll the pelvis back, the tail comes between the legs, and then we roll the pelvis forwards. And again, tilting back and rolling forwards. Tilt the pelvis back and rolling forwards. 2 more. We breathe out to tilt back. You'll feel your lower back into the mat, your tail between your legs. And then as you roll forward, you'll feel that space in the lower back increase and you're arching. Then we roll back, and now we find that midpoint where your pelvis is sitting quiet. In terms of the hip, let's open the left knee out to the side and then bring it in. Open the right knee out to the side and bring it in. The left knee opens, feel the outside of your left foot. So, and then bring it in, think of the inner thigh, opening out the right knee, closing, use your inner thigh, opening out the left knee, and close the inner thigh. Guys, so for this movement right now, what I want you to do is identify your hip bones at the front of the pelvis, and I want those to stay pointing up to the ceiling, so they don't change. But now your right knee opens, but your hip bones stay pointing forward. So the movement is very much about that hip joint. Then close the knee in. Let the left knee open and close it in. Right knee open and close. Left knee open and close. My hip bones are staying nice and still, about the same level, pointing up to the ceiling. As I open one knee and then I open the other. Then coming back to center, I'm just going to slide one leg away. And then I bring it back in. I slide the other leg away. And I bring it back in. So I reach the leg out and roll it in. And when I'm doing this, I want my pelvis to remain perfectly quiet. So when the leg stretches, just notice if your back is arching, you try to avoid that and then bring it in. So keep the spine neutral as the leg slides and comes in and slides and comes in. And then we're going to lift the foot, just lift one foot up and down, lift and lower. Again, notice if that movement in your hip is affecting your pelvis. And we want the pelvis, again, to be quiet. The hip bones still, the pubic bones still, so they're not lifting or lowering. And those 3 bony landmarks should be all on around the same level. Yeah, so the pubic bone and the hip bones are roughly the same height. And that's another indication that your pelvis is staying in a nice centered place as you lift and lower the leg, bringing that thigh close towards the body and moving it away. Comes in and away, moving in your hip joint. Good. And then what I'd like you to do is keep one of your hips, or let's have the left knee up. So now I've got my left knee directly over my hip joint, and I'd like to circle it. So I'm going to circle that knee, moving in my hip. Breathe. And circle the other way. So when you're circling, imagine you're drawing a circle with a pencil that's attached to the top of your knee. So it's not a square, it's not a triangle, there's no flat edges, it's a smooth round circle. Good. And then we bring the leg back to above the hip joint and we can pop that foot down. Same on the other leg, bring the knee up over the hip. Check that your hip bones haven't rolled backwards or your pubic bone lift. Lifted, yes, so those three landmarks are about the same level, and now your thigh can stir. Stirring in that hip. Just visualize that hip joint, that ball joint, moving in the capsule. You might find some areas that it gets a little bit tricky, a little bit stuck, a little bit resistant. Just slow down and move more slowly into the space, but with intention. Change direction, round, stirring that hip joint. It's normally all the muscles around the pelvis that might be tight or held that can prevent that movement. So just encourage as much as you can. Really focus on that hip. And then come back to the center and pop that leg down. So now we're going to do some bridges, but rather than articulating our spine to come into the bridge, I want you to just lift up into the front of the hips. So we're sending ourselves into the front here. The using of the buttocks that push me up. And then I crease in my hip joints to bring me down. So this is movement in your hips. Lift the pelvis up to the ceiling and then crease in the hips to come down. Yeah. So we lift the pelvis up and then we bring the pelvis down. Lovely. The spine doesn't change its position. Yeah, we're just lifting the pelvis using the back of the body. And then we crease, moving in the hips to the lower. 4 more. Lifting up and lowering down. Pushing up into the front of the hips and then coming down. Lift, stand in your feet, lift into the front and come down. One more time, lift into the front and come down. Now, we're going to challenge it. Take it up into the bridge. Now, just as we did when we were lying down, I want you to lift one leg up and bring it down. The other leg up and bring it down. So again, I'm moving in my hip, but I'm asking for my pelvis to be supported by my own body rather than the ground. So there's a lot of work going on in my buttocks, in my back, yeah, in my legs, all of those supporting muscles. Lifting the knee in, pubic bone and hip bones, those landmarks, they're still there. They haven't gone anywhere, they're still there, they're all level. Yeah, so as we lift the leg, we don't want one of the hips to drop. We want to try and keep both of the hip bones high. Good. Now can you bring one leg up and then stretch your leg, reach, then bend and pop it down. The other side, lift it, stretch it, bend and pop it down. And lift and stretch, bend and down, and lift and stretch and bend and down. Then bring your pelvis down to the floor. Great. So we can see how much stability we need in the pelvis to allow the joint of the hip joint to move efficiently. So we've worked through the back. Let's get onto our sides. So this is an exercise that is great for challenging and strengthening the muscles that are behind the hip. So we're going to look at external rotation of the hip. So this is bringing the knee in front on top of the straight leg, and you're going to turn the knee up to the ceiling, and then you bring the knee forward. Good. Helen, sorry, that's all I can. And forward. Helen's already done my session in the studio this morning, where we did quite a few of these. So, and again, turning that knee up and bringing it forward. So when I turn my top knee up, can you notice I'm also turning my bottom leg down? So I'm getting both of my hips turning out, and then they come forward. You've got to let it go. Turn out and switch on those muscles at the back of the pelvis, and then close it in. So now open up the knee, tap that foot behind the straight leg on top, and then bring forwards. Open up, tap behind, on top, and forward. Open up, tap behind, on top, and forwards. Tap open, tap behind, on top, and forward. This time when you tap behind, your bottom leg is going to come off the floor as well. So you've got that lower hip working as well. So we open out, tap behind and lift the bottom leg, on top, lower, and knee forward. When you do it, check out what's happening with those hip bones. They need to stay hip pointing forwards as well, like you've got two spotlights on the hip bones. Turning out, tap behind and lift, on top and forward. And open, tap behind, on top and forward. And open, tap behind, on top and forwards. And open, tap behind, on top and forwards. Both legs go out straight. And now lift both legs up. So the bottom leg is the leg that's kind of pushing the top leg up. What's happening with these hip bones? Yeah, you want to keep them on the same level. Don't let the top one roll back. And lift, and lower, and lift, and lower. The bottom leg is lifting, so you're using all those muscles on the inside of that thigh. Think right up at that hip joint. Yeah, lifting that inner thigh. Lifting, and again, and lift, lower, and lift. Hold it up and pulse, so the leg stays up. We pulse 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, then bring it down. Bend both your knees up in front of you. So I've got kind of like a 90-degree angle. My waist is long, and then I'm just going to lift that top leg up. So I'm abducting my leg. Yeah, this thigh bone is lifting up to the ceiling. Yeah, so my hip joint abductions. There's a lot of work coming into the muscles on the outside of your pelvis. You might feel them kind of where they attach to all those little bony landmarks at the side of the pelvis. They're going to be working hard, but the movement is occurring here. There's the joint. That's what I want you to focus on today. Hold it up there. Now the knee is going to turn in to tap the knee. So that's in the hip, internal rotation. Then come up, turn the knee out and tap your toe. And then up, knee to knee, and up, toe to ankle. So it's knee and ankle, 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 knee and pulse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Open up and 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and bring the leg down. Brill. Let's do all that on the other side. So spin around, I'm just going to turn so I'm still facing you, and we're going to bring our legs out nice and long. Get head supported, and then that top knee bends up, and we're going to start just by turning it out, as well as that lower leg turning out. Good, and open, and close, and open, and close, and open, and close, and open, and close. Two more. Open, and close, and open, and close. Now, when you open, you're going to tap behind, on top, and forwards. Open, tap behind, on top, and forwards. Open, tap behind, on top, and forwards. Open, behind, on top, and forwards. Then open, tap behind, lift your bottom leg, on top, and forwards. Open, tap, tap, and forwards. Open, tap, tap, and forwards. Open, tap, tap. Two more. Open, tap, tap, and again. Open, tap, tap, and forwards. Take the legs out straight. Bottom leg lifting and lower, and lift and lower, and lift and lower, and lift, and again. Remember, where are your hips? They're the same places. If you're lying on your back, you want them to be level. There's your indication that your pelvis is in a good place. Pubic bone, hip bones. Good. And take it up. Pulse 10, 9, 8. Bottom leg lifting. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Knees bent. Bring the knees in front of you. Okay, make sure the waist is long. We haven't collapsed and rounded in the lower back. So as we bring the knees in, we move in our hips, the pelvis, hip bones and pubic bone, still nicely on the same plane. Yeah? Good. Now, top leg lifts and lowers, and lift, and lower, and lift, and lower, and lift, and lower. Hold it up. Now bring your knee to your knee. Then lift and your toe to ankle. And knee, and toe, and knee, and toe, and knee, and ankle, and knee, and ankle, and knee, and ankle, and knee. Now we pulse. Pulse 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Turn out. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, bring it down. Good job. Okay, take it back onto your back and hug your knees into your chest. And then you can just move the knees around, try and keep the tail down. Open, you can move them opposites, you can circle them, there's no right or wrong. You could just move them together, circling. And then I want you to take your feet back down, but have them slightly wider than your hips, certainly wider than the hips, but sort of like more in line with your shoulders or wherever's comfortable there. So then, with both your feet wide, you're then going to lower both knees to one direction and move across. And then come up and across. Yeah, both knees going so we get an internal rotation in that top hip. And again. So I don't mind if the pelvis moves slightly. I want you to try and just encourage that knee to come down. And the other side, hip rolls. Moving side to side. Breathe. And center. And then we're going to turn around onto our hands and knees. And here, I want you to bring your toes tucked under and just lift your knees off the floor. So you're in this kind of little crouch position. And then your right knee is going to come up between your hands, or let me come this way. So the right knee is going to come up to the right hand, but my lower leg is at an angle. Yeah, so we're then going to come down over that leg and stretch over that leg there. So this is our pigeon pose. We've got our hip and external rotation, and we're coming down over that front leg. Let's take a few breaths. On the side. This is a great tight area for me, but this hip for some might be down, maybe not yet. Just folding over that hip. You can even just do a bit of walking. And then coming up, back, and hands and knees. Of course, we need to do the upper leg. So we do a hover, and that knee comes forward. Sorry about that. And then that knee comes up, and we come over that leg. So you want to try and get your pelvis, those two hip bones, again quite square to come down. And if you've got quite a kind of good flexibility in that range in the hip, your lower leg can come higher. So see my leg, when I do it, there's quite an angle, but the more flexible you are, you can bring the leg more into, say, that position, which is fine for me, if I'm not going to fold over the top. And just, yeah, so find so that you feel a nice stretch. And once you're there, just a little bit of rocking, a little bit of movement. And then just sit onto that hip, bring both legs round, soles of the feet come together, knees out, and then just round forwards. Round and forwards, nice, relaxed in the neck. Just let the head come down for a wonderful stretch coming up through the back. Take a couple of breaths in. And then you can come up. And if your knees are happy, you can find maybe a cross leg position. If not, you can still have your legs in diamond. We're then going to bring ourselves forwards over the legs there. Again, just taking a few breaths. And then slowly up to cross the legs the other way. And then just come forward. Breathe. And slowly rise. Oh, well done. Great hip session today. So I hope just having a little bit more consciousness or awareness of where the hip joint is in the body and the landmarks around it, which can identify, where we know where our pelvis is, we can really truly start to identify the movement or lack of movement that is available in the hip joint. So well done, thank you very much. If you've got any questions or any suggestions, just give me a shout. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.